What excitement. I tell you, RJC is who we all are. Honestly, I am so excited to see so many people here, and as was said earlier, the energy in the room. This is good stuff. So, David, thanks for your leadership. Matt, Brooks, thanks for all you do always for making this organization what it is. And again, it is who all of us are. There's no question either that these are challenging times. Big decisions are yet to be made, and with those decisions come big opportunities. Big opportunities for our country, big opportunities, yes, for the RJC, and big opportunities for Republicans. Now, for starters, I would like to say again, the RJC to me has been a home. And, you know, it hasn't been too long ago that we all can remember that this crowd would have been a lot smaller. And the fact that we have this crowd assembled here, I think, is testament to the fact of your role in the American Jewish community, providing that very common sense voice for positive alternatives. Absolutely. And for those of us growing up in state legislators, I know Josh Mandel was up earlier, know how important it is to know that the RJC is there. And not only do we know that you are there are members of Congress who credit this RJC for their election. And I tell you, the powerful grassroots network that the RJC has built has been terrific. And for that, I want to say thank you as well. Matt, great job. Over the last several cycles, our party hasn't done well, and it's, frankly, in my opinion, been viewed as having gone native. Think bridge to nowhere. We're viewed as somehow, fairly or unfairly, having mismanaged the early days in the war in Iraq, and unfortunately, the financial crisis has been laid at our feet. But we must not take the wrong message from our losses at the polls. Contrary to what Newsweek likes to say, contrary to what the Democrats, some in Washington, are insisting, the American people have not gone socialists. Over the last 6 months, poll after poll confirms the fact that the American people and that this country is a center-right country. Newsweek, in fact, indicated recently that people in this country prefer to consider themselves conservative versus liberal 40% to 20%. But let's not make any mistake about it. People are very, very worried right now. They watch their elected leaders, including their president, talk about the Dow as if it were a political tracking poll, as their life savings evaporates in front of them. This doesn't comfort them, this scares them. The American people are living in fear when they hear the Obama budget and what's in it. They're living in fear of tax hikes that they know they won't be able to afford. This, too, worries them every night. And then knowing that the government in Washington is spending away their children's future on bailout after bailout with no end in sight certainly provides no comfort. It scares people. So clearly the families of America are overwhelmed. They're desperate for our leadership. And given what we have seen over the last 50-some days in Washington, we have an opportunity of a lifetime as Republicans if we can just get with it and have it and commit ourselves to it to get it done. You know, in Washington, if you look and see on the news, it's just astounding how this administration has taken upon itself to establish a new pattern. It's a new blunder pretty much every week, if not even more often. First, we saw him come forward with that stimulus bill. It's 1,100 pages long. Nancy Pelosi has the bright idea to put it up online about 6 hours before it was to come for a vote. So it came online about 2 a.m. I assure you, no one in the House read that bill. All we have to do is look at this week's and the annex that have ensued to see the results of that type of leadership or lack thereof. Now we see the finger pointing between the administration and Senator Dodd as to who is at fault for that provision dealing with AIG. Then this week there was the offhanded remarks that the president made on Jay Leno, followed up by a steady diet, day in and day out almost, of our president behind a teleprompter. Behind a teleprompter in Washington, whether he's speaking to a group of 25 people, or our president behind a teleprompter at a town hall meeting or some type of press conference out across this country, far from where he needs to be in the White House, showing the American people that he is in charge. It is time, I think the American people are beginning to understand they need adult leadership in Washington. They need somebody to stand up, to insist that we stop the petty fighting in the halls of Congress, and to start the essential process of governing and rebuilding in that order. And so now's the time for us. Now's the time for us, but we've got to commit ourselves to articulate a vision for governing and then demonstrate that we've got the commitment and the wherewithal to do it. Now, when you're talking about our vision, there's a lot of that discussion going on around the country right now. We're Republicans. How do we come back? What's the best way forward? In my opinion, we should not abandon our core principles of national defense, limited government, and free markets. Yet, we would be short-sighted if we believe that the issues that worked 25 years ago will necessarily work today in politics. No question, we are still the party of Ronald Reagan. But what really does that mean? Reagan was an intellectual and he was an innovator. His policies, as we all have said over and again, were the answer to the challenges of the time. He confronted stagflation with supply-side economics. He saw the advancement of the Soviet Union in Afghanistan and knew what the experience was in Vietnam. So he advocated a rollback of communism in order to defeat the communists in the Soviet Union and win the Cold War. He was a conservative, but the brilliance of his leadership really was that his policies were relevant to what people were going through that day and to the challenges they were facing. Now, our condition today as Republicans and as conservatives is not dissimilar. There are issues such as welfare and crime, which helped build our conservative majority today and to get us to where we are, but they are not the top of the mind issues, frankly, if you go out and ask the folks you live with, you work with, or you socialize with. Taxes and spending will always be important. But today, the more powerful notion is how fiscal policy, how taxes and spending impact the middle class in this country. We Republicans have got to get up and we've got to convince the people in the middle of this country of reasons to come vote for us and that we have a compelling agenda to address the challenges in the forefront, whether they be jobs, health care that usually goes with jobs, energy, education, the environment, and you can go through the list. Our candidates cannot be seen to threaten the mainstream of this country. Again, our mission's got to be to pull folks from the middle, give the independents in this country a reason to come vote for us. And although we should never, ever abandon those core conservative principles, we must stop speaking only in ideological terms and start putting these principles into action in pursuit of a vision that we've got for how we want America to be in 10 years.